Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's Dylan Milks here for Monday, October the 10th, 2011. And just want to wish everybody in Canada, all my viewers in Canada, a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I know we have so much to be grateful for in this country, our freedom. Um, we basically have, a democratic society where we can choose our leaders, and we have economic freedom where we can go for our dreams and do the things that we're inspired to do and pursue those things wholeheartedly. And so many countries around the world, just don't have that or even close to this. And even compared to Western Europe, we have so much more freedom here than they do out there in terms of economic freedom and so on and so forth. But anyways, I want to talk today about silver, and I've been getting a couple comments about from my previous videos. Some of my viewers have been asking me, why am I so excited or enthusiastic about silver? And so I wanted to do basically a two-part series to kind of start to describe some of the reasons why I'm very enthusiastic and bullish on silver. So I'm going to entitle this Silver Over the Next 10 Years. And part one, which I'm going to start right now, is going to be about, there's really two sides to the silver story. One is the industrial use of silver. The second side of it, which I'll cover in my next video, is the monetary side of silver and the historical monetary side of silver. So when it comes to the industrial side of silver, silver is used in pretty much anything electronic, meaning your TV, your DVD player, your computer, your iPod, your BlackBerry, stereos, radios, whatever it is, anything electronic uses silver. And when you look at the growth of the world of electronic devices, even just what we have today, you think of the iPhone, you think of Blackberries, you think of LCD TVs. Um, you know, if you look at that, and where do you think that's going to be in 10 years from now? And how much between today and the next 10 years out? How many more iPhones or some sort of smartphone devices are we going to have in the world 10 years from now? Is it going to be 50% more, 10% more? It's probably going to be 5 to 10 times more in the next 10 years. Or even just things like computers, laptops, LCD monitors, computers, TVs, all those things. When you look at the growth in China and India, even in this slow economy, China is experiencing still a 9% growth rate per year. And millions upon millions in China are now having some of these, starting to have some of these devices, which of course is contributing to massive gains in terms of those sales. And also even India, even again in the slow economic time, this uncertain time, India is still growing at a 7% annualized rate. So in the case of India, that means that in about 9 years, approximately 9 years, their economy will be doubling in size. And in China, I believe it is about 7 years, with an annualized rate of 9% per year. It works out to be about 7 years. The size of their economy will have doubled. So when you look at just the growth of population and the amount of people who are demanding these types of luxuries, I guess you could call them, of the Western world, the growth of those things is just huge. Also, 30 years ago when silver hit $50 an ounce back in January of 1980, there was approximately 2 billion, 2 billion ounces of above ground silver that was available to be used for industrial use. And over the last 30 years, the price of silver has remained so low, up until 10 years ago, that it was well below mining costs. And so because of that fact, that supply of above ground silver back from 1980, which was 2 billion ounces, has dwindled now to about 700 million, approximately 700 million ounces. So in other words, it's been cut down by a factor of by about 66%, by about 2/3, the supply of above ground silver. And really that's been happening primarily because the price of silver has been so low, that has been so cheap, that you cannot mine it at a profit. Now, even today, if you look at the last 30 years, there's only been, from what I've read and what I've heard, there's only been 2 years in the last 30 years that the silver has been, there's been more mined silver than what the demand has been um, in the last 30 years. Only 2 years. So that accounts for, and that explains why we've seen the above ground supply dwindle from 2 billion down to 700 million ounces. And so when you look at that, and the other thing too is, as I've read recently, is that at about 30 to 35, 30 to $40 an ounce, depending on your source, the source of the information, pretty much all the silver, most silver is mineable at a profit at about $40 an ounce. Now, currently, the average mining cost per ounce of silver is anywhere between $10 to $12 per ounce. So depending on your source of information, anywhere from $10 to $12 per ounce is the average mining cost. So when you look at and again, this explains sort of the supply having come down dramatically over the last 30 years, and still continues to come down, again, because of the increase of industrial demand. And silver really is a unique metal. It has many characteristics that simply are not replaceable by any other cheaper metal. For example, silver is the most thermally conductive of all metals. Silver is also the most electronically conductive metal of all metals. It is also one of the most reflective metals that there is. I believe in that case, the only one that is more reflective, I believe, is aluminum. And in all these cases, or most of these cases, there is no cheaper substitute. So, for example, when you think of silver used for electronic purposes, there really, for a lot of their uses of it, there is no cheaper substitute. Now, in some cases, there are substitutes that are more expensive. For example, I know in some cases you can, for some of silver's uses, you can use platinum. However, platinum, last time I checked, was about 1,600 or 1,650. Sorry, I think it's about just over $1,500, about $1,550 an ounce. So in other words, silver is about today right about it's about $32 an ounce. Platinum is about just over $1,500 an ounce. So when you look at the difference of that, nobody's going to be switching from silver to platinum anytime soon. Certainly with the fact that silver is about 50 times cheaper than platinum. So really, when you look at these again, the growth of the demand in these electronics, bodes very well for the case for silver in terms of what's going to be needed in the future, even in the next 10 years going forward, as India and China and the Asia really start to enter into more of the Western world in terms of their demand for these electronic devices. So the other thing too with silver is silver is also very used very heavily in things like some of these emerging energies. For example, solar energy. One of the solar panels, for example, uses some amount of silver as well. And I believe that the demand for these solar panels continues to pretty much double almost every year. China is moving forward full steam ahead with their solar energy business and producing these panels. And a lot of the Western world who because of the environmentally conscious movement are really pushing the solar energy. And that is a huge use of silver as well, because of of course in this case because of its reflectiveness and some other properties as well. So I just wanted to touch base with you on just a couple of these items here, and just to kind of mention some of the reasons why why I believe that the industrial use of silver is going to continue to go up in the next, even 10, 15 years. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post some references in my comments section of this video so that you can kind of verify some of my sources and kind of look at some of the sources I've used and I've compiled to kind of make some of these statements I'm making. So thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned. Probably in the next day or two I'll post another video of silver focusing on the monetary and historical aspect of silver and why I believe that the future is bright. So take care. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.